If you're trying to get your husband ready for the summer, then this is going to be an easy haircut that you can give him. Just to play it safe, you can begin with a higher guard, such as the number 3. And I always recommend starting in the back. That way you can test it out and see how much hair it's actually cutting off. Whenever I'm doing this, I'm literally just digging in at the very bottom and just sliding the clipper up and down. I'm not flicking out. I'm keeping the clipper flat on the head, sliding up and down, and allowing this head shape to guide my clipper right off the head. Now, of course, whenever it comes to cutting behind the ear, then all we're going to simply do is dig in right behind the ear with the clipper and work around it. Trust me, you're not going to hurt them, and even if you do hurt them, just tell them to get over it. The main thing to remember is that whenever you're cutting the sides, you want to make sure you follow through all the way to the front, keeping the same angle of the clipper. Don't try to dip down like this. Just keep it flat and all the way to the front of the head by the corner. And now we ended off with a weight line right along the parietal ridge, which to take that out, all we're simply going to do is open up the lever all the way, which is going to extend the top blade away from the bottom blade, allowing the clipper to cut less hair. And once again, we're just going to go right off the head. You don't want to dig into it because then you're going to eliminate a lot of that weight and really give them a round shape, which is an important factor to remember whenever you're cutting guys' hair. On guys, you typically want to create more of a sharper angles and a square silhouette. Now, of course, his hair is a lot shorter on top, so if your husband happens to have longer hair, then you might end up having to use a number 4 right along this area to really be able to blend everything into the top. Another important factor to keep in mind is that you always want to keep a comb in your opposite hand and comb everything back into place. Now, of course, if the number 3 isn't short enough for you and your husband, then you can always switch into a smaller guard, such as the number 1. And we're literally going to repeat the same process all over again, beginning with the number 1, lever all the way closed. Once again, that really means that the top blade and the bottom blade are closest to each other. So the number 1 is going to be able to cut a lot closer. And again, starting in the back just to test a little bit of the section first and really make sure that that's what we want to go with. I'm going to tilt my clipper inwards and again, just slide up and down. Only difference on this is that I'm not going to go too far up the head, which of course it comes to preference on how high you want the fade. On him, I personally feel like a number 1 suits him a lot better if we just stop about halfway up the head. But now that I have that guideline set in, I'm going to take my number 1 and open up the lever all the way. And beginning right at the line, I'm going to slide up and down, only making sure to go about a finger's width above the first initial guideline. And with this hair being a lot more defined, you can't really see it, but that created a section right in between the lever closed and the lever open. And that way, if your husband has darker hair and you can noticeably see the line right in between, you can close the lever about halfway, dig in, but touch your clipper outwards. That way you only use this much of the blade to really be able to fade out that line. And once you have that done, it's time to take out this line. So if you recall, we used a number 3 in this area and a number 1 down here. So of course, a number 2 is going to eliminate this line right in between. Now, even though I have a number 2 guard on here and the lever's all the way open, that is a true number 2. But the moment that I open up the lever all the way, this now becomes a 2.5. So with the 2.5, that's going to allow me to begin fading into the number 3. But it's not going to completely take out the bottom line. It's going to soften it up a little bit to where now I can close the lever all the way to have a true number 2 again. And same thing, using the corner to dig in and completely fade that line out. Or so you thought it would. The line didn't completely fade out, so I did switch into a 1.5 guard with the lever closed. And now the 1.5 guard should completely fade out the line in between the number 1 and the number 2. So whenever it comes to cutting hair, it's a lot of problem solving and understanding what guard is going to take out which line. But at the same time, don't overthink it. Just know that it's just like counting. We went from a number 1, a 1.5, a 2, a 2.5, and then number 3. Now, you may notice that I'm using a lot of different clippers. Even though different clippers do different things, you only really need one clipper if you're only cutting hair at your house and not really cutting a whole bunch of clients on a daily basis. So I really recommend that you get any clipper with a lever on the side, which I do have a full list of all the equipment that I have on my barber station down in the link below that you can purchase, and it's going to direct you to the websites that I personally use to order all my stuff from. And I guarantee you will not get scammed because you have to be careful when ordering from random websites. And now with the haircut done, I'm going to be switching to my trimmer to really be able to edge them up around the neck. Anytime that I do an edge up, I always like to begin right behind the ear. And I like to use a corner of the trimmer to really be able to create the curved shape around it. And again, don't overthink it. All you have to do is use your index finger to lower the ear. And then I'm going to be using the corner to create that curved shape around it. Now, the main reason why I really love creating my guideline around the ears first is because now I have a guideline to go down in this angle and a guideline to go down the neck. So beginning with the sideburn, I'm just going to start at the bottom by the indentation of the ear, and I'm going to use the opposite corner to match it up with the top corner. And now for the back of the neck, I'm going to place half the blade on the line that I already created and half the blade on the new line that I want to create. I'm going to begin by tilting my clipper outwards first, create a natural line, which I'm not really satisfied with that. I did want to push it in a little bit more. So going back to the top, I'm going to tilt my clipper inwards a little bit more, just slightly, so we can get that line a little bit more defined. Now for the back, I'm going to begin right in the middle, create my guideline. Now I'm going to work to one side first. Again, making sure that I only use half the blade on the line that I already created and half the other blade on the new line that I want to create, and just go straight to one side first. Then of course, follow it up by doing the same thing on the other side. Quickly turning my clipper over to really be able to knock off any little undesired hairs at the very bottom. Like that, you're going to be able to have your husband ready for the summertime. Now, of course, to really understand how to cut the top and how to do the beard, I do have a full online course that's going to teach you the fundamentals of how to cut hair, along with what kind of clippers you need and how to use them, which that online course is in the link down in the bio. Or you can also go to my Instagram and my TikTok, where I have over 2,000 videos posted already on there. That gives you a lot of tips and tricks on how to do haircuts like this and a lot of advanced fading techniques as well.